Immigration, a topic woven deeply into the fabric of American society. But beyond the statistics and headlines, there is a profound human experience. What does being an immigrant in America feel like? That is what this project is aimed to uncover. This information doesn't apply to everybody, as each person's experience is anecdotal. I'll be interviewing two very special people in my life, Rafaela Harris and Tina Castro, both not originally born in America, but helped raise me. They are the mothers of my best friends, but to me, they're just my moms. Through symbolic interactionism, this project seeks to understand the personal narratives, experiences, and perceptions of immigrants as they transition to a new life and possibly a new identity. Welcome, everybody. I'm here joined with Rafaela Harris. So go ahead, Rafa, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to America.
Okay, so my name is Rafaela Harris, and I'm Italian. I moved in the United States in 1997 because I married an American man. And so I met him in Italy. He was military back then. And we moved in the United States, and we moved to Rhode Island at first. He was military, right?
Yep.
Then there we had two kids, Alessandro and Matteo, which now are 25 and 23. And after 3 or 4 years, I don't remember, in Newport, Rhode Island, we moved to Washington, D.C., where I'm still living.
So you'd say that you were motivated to move to America by love.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've been here for 27 years.
Yeah.
How has your sense of belonging evolved? When you first got here, did you feel American? Now do you feel American? What has that been like over time?
Okay, definitely didn't feel America in the beginning because my English was really, really poor.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, to learn how to communicate with people, right? And I was talking in Italian with my ex-husband now. So, yeah, it was very hard because I didn't know English, but because I'm really social, I like people in general.
Yeah.
I had to learn, and so I start to learn English, and I did learn English like with like a county English school, nothing in particular, nothing fancy. And then because I had many friends, I started talking more. And so I learned a little bit at a time. And then I had two kids, right? So they were speaking in Italian with me when they were little, believe it or not. And then I think I made some mistakes, like because they were learning English. I want to learn English because with my ex-husband, I was speaking in Italian.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were talking with me in in English, I let them do it because it was an exercise for me too.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they are speaking only English. They are old. And but a little bit of time I learned English, and after 4 years in Newport, Rhode Island, we moved to Washington, D.C., where I started working in a preschool where my kids were going. And so my English improved. I mean, it improved so much, but improved.
So you'd say that your feeling of being American was associated with your level of English and your proficiency in the language?
No, not only. I felt totally an immigrant. Like I felt completely Italian in a place that was beautiful. I loved where I was. I met amazing people in the United States, which are still my super good friends. And so while the year went by, I felt more and more connected to the American people. Now let's say that I feel like half and half. I feel American. I'm an American citizen. I think at this point, I don't know if I would go and live 100% in Italy. It's like I'm not 100% American, now I'm not
Yeah,
100% Italian anymore.
yeah.
So yeah, but it's been very good.
So speaking about Italy, what
Mm.
do you miss most about home and what don't you miss?
Okay, I miss my family
Mhm.
and I miss my friends. I had lots of friends, but I'm fortunate enough that I go back there every year, so I see everybody every year. I miss the culture. I miss the food. I miss um, I miss my town. You know, my things. What I don't miss is I think living in America. It's easier. You have more possibility uh, to find a job. To there also it's a little bit a problem. Jobs are a little bit a problem in Italy.
Yeah.
So. Um, but I can't say that I don't like Italy. I don't miss things.
Mhm.
I miss everything, but I feel deeply comfortable in the United States.
That's great. Um, so when you first came to America and even now, have you encountered any challenges? You touched on the language barrier a bit
Right.
earlier, and not really knowing people. Were there
Mhm.
any other social systems that helped you transition emotionally?
Well, I have to say that in the beginning, especially when we moved in Washington D.C. here, well, in Arlington, where I live,
Mhm.
uh, a little bit because my language. Um, I mean, most of it probably because of my language. I felt not judged. I don't want to say judged, but when I met with people, like I was going out with my kids and they thought I was a babysitter,
Ah,
you know.
yeah.
Um, I have to say also that when I said that my husband was American and I'm Italian, the reaction was like, oh, cool. Okay. I don't know what not cool would be if I
Yeah.
wasn't Italian. Uh, but yes, I felt sometimes a little bit cut out.
Yeah.
Not too much, not with the real friends, but in the beginning I had this sensation. Now I have not any of those feelings
Yeah.
after so long. So
That's
it was a little bit hard in the beginning, obviously. Yeah,
but things got better with time and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I was very fortunate, Nathan, to find people like who.
She's
Your
talking
mama.
about my mother,
Yes, your
yeah.
mom.
So you touched on it a bit earlier about having this feeling of I'm American, but I'm also Italian. I'm half
Mhm.
and half. There's kind of this dual identity.
Yes.
How would you navigate that in your daily life? Are you American sometimes? Are you Italian sometimes? How does that all come together to make Rafaela?
Well, Raffaella is really a mix. So I'm very proud to be Italian. And so when I meet someone, I right away say, I'm Italian.
Hmm.
Like, well, I have a big accent, so it's hard to don't think that I'm completely, born and raised in America. But yes, it's really a combination of the two. Yeah, really a combination of the two. I always say something about Italy, like, we in Italy we do that. Oh, our food. Oh no, pizza here is not good. Spaghetti, nah. Pasta al dente, no, because in Italy,
Yeah.
food or other things. Like when we talk about art, or when we talk about antique things, or no, this is not antique. This is just old. Antique means something different. So I always have my Italian in me.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And I never had bad reactions about that.
Yeah. So you've been here for 27 years,
Yeah.
for way past my lifetime. I've known you my whole life. And you've said that your sense of belonging has developed since you've been here. Is there
Mm.
any specific moment, whether when you had your kids in America, when you got your citizenship, was there any moment where you felt Oh, I'm American. Was there a specific point in your life that influenced that?
Oh, you have to hold on 1 second. Come here. Sorry for the interview. Your mother. Okay, tell me again the question.
I'll cut this out.
Sorry. It's your
So,
mom. Okay.
hi, Mama. So, you've been in America for 27 years. You've been here for my whole lifetime. I've known you my whole life. Has there been any specific moments, whether it was having your kids in America, your wedding, getting your citizenship, was there a specific moment that influenced your sense of belonging that made you feel, I am American?
Working here,
Mhm.
having kids here because they are American, right? Even though I feel they are a little bit Italian, obviously, but having kids here, yes, they belong here. So if they belong here, I belong here.
Mhm.
And also working, learning, finding new people. Now I work for public schools, and believe it or not, I'm teaching. So
Congratulations.
yeah. So yes, I feel that I belong here. Yes, probably it's work, and because the work, because the job, and because my kids are American.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that you've lived basically half your life in Italy, half your
Yeah,
life in America,
almost. Yeah.
what is home? Is it America? Is it Italy? How would you define home?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I really split. I'm split in two parts. Um I don't know. I don't even know. Like when I say when I get old, because I'm not. When I get old, maybe I can live. And I always say I might live 6 months in Italy and 6 months in America. I
Mhm.
never say I want to go back there.
Yeah,
I could live full time here, and go back visit. Yes. Could I live full time there? Only if I have to. Yeah,
that
only if
makes
I have.
sense.
Yes. Even though I love it, I feel that I should stay where my kids are.
Yeah, I totally get that. So to bring it all home, the last question, overall in American politics and media, there's a big negative perception of immigrants and especially illegal immigrants. How would you say, as a society, we can fix this negative perception to make everyone feel welcomed and have everything be more inclusive?
Okay, I say I came legally. I did all my paperwork and everything I had to do, I did it. And it wasn't very hard for me to come. And I came from a place where I was happy though. And so I didn't leave. I didn't leave a place that wasn't good for me. I left Italy and Italy was good for me. So it wasn't an escape for me to come here. It wasn't, I need to go there because my life sucks. Coming here was pretty easy. I was in love, I got married, I got my citizenship and everything else. I wish there was a easiest way easiest way for the people that are coming to America. They need to come to America for many reasons,
Mhm.
to come legally because it's the right things to do. So I wish that the government has a way to make that happen so people doesn't come illegally. It's wrong to come illegally, so because it's illegal. So so that would be nice if the state had something to make everybody that wants to come and live the life they want to live possible without being illegal.
Welcome everybody to the second interview. I'm here with Clementina Castro, my other mother, and she's here to answer some questions that we have. So go ahead, Miss Tina, introduce yourself and tell us about your journey to the United States.
Hi, my name is Clementina Castro. I came to United States in 1985, and I remember when I came, it was March. It was cold, and I felt like sad. Me seeing like the trees were have like no like everything was different from Mexico that I never seen. Like still part of winter, and I had no family here, so I didn't know that I would stay like for a long time. I miss my family so much.
So you'd say that the experience and the transition was a hard one?
It was very hard.
Well, now you've been here for almost 40 years. And since you've been here for so long, how has your sense of belonging evolved over time? When you first got here, you didn't feel like you belonged, you missed home, you wanted to go back. But now, 40 years later almost, how are you feeling?
It was a very long transition because in the first 9 years, I cried. I remember I wanted to go back. I really missed my family. I miss the weather back home. I feel like I didn't have like support in here. But after my children started school, one day I decided, okay, my life is here in the United States because I want a good education for my children. And since then, I started like making the transition better and feeling like that I wanted to do my life here.
That's great. So you said that when your kids started school, that's when you started seeking more support. You said that prior to that, you didn't really have any support here. So, do you think that there's enough support for people who recently moved to the US when they first get here? Is there enough social service? What are your thoughts on that?
I think back then when came, it was little bit of people who speak Spanish. I remember like not many. Now I think it's different for immigrants to come at this time because also there's social media. There is so many Latino people that you go everywhere. Like the people speak Spanish now,
Mhm.
and but back then it was like just a little bit of like
Yeah,
Spanish speakers.
yeah. That's definitely, in my experience, the majority of kids in elementary, middle, and high school were all Hispanic, so that definitely makes sense. What would you say you miss most about home, and what would you say you miss the least?
What I miss the most is my family, the weather, and the people being so friendly. And I feel like I was at home. In United States, I feel like the society was like more close and close to people, and I didn't. It was very hard for me to understand the culture.
Mhm.
I didn't know what it was like to be appropriate to do in with American people and
Mhm.
what we are from Latin American.
So do you feel as if the longer you've lived here, the more you've become accustomed to American culture?
Yes,
And
I
now,
agree.
would you say now you sort of have a sense of belonging here and not so much of, I don't know what's going on?
Now I feel, yeah, I feel a sense of belonging because like a culture, and especially in this area, which I live all. my life since I came to in here in United States. I live in
Mhm.
Virginia, and this is a very diverse area that I find people from everywhere, and I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like I think this is one of the things that I like the most.
We
What I don't
definitely
have
live
in
in a hub.
yes, in Mexico, it was only mostly like just Mexicans.
Yeah, that's definitely a different perspective and different environment. Tell me about some challenges or barriers, because you said that when you first came here, you didn't feel as if you belonged, but now you say that you do, you feel more American. What were some challenges that you had to overcome to get to the point you're at right now?
I think what I find myself the more challenging is understanding the education system, which I really thought that it was very difficult to understand when my children were like little, and
Mhm,
I tried to integrate going to volunteer in the schools,
mhm,
but still I find it like very difficult to understand the system.
mhm. So for you specifically and your emotional state and your feeling of acceptance, what was kind of prohibiting you in the beginning from feeling accepted in America? Was it the language barrier, the cultural differences? What would you say were a few of the main things?
I think it was the cultural differences.
Could you give some examples of that?
Because I really think I didn't understand like American culture. I was thinking like what is right and what is wrong to do with them.
Hmm.
And now I understand, but back then it was like difficult to understand.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Now that you've been here, you've lived in America a majority of your life. There's still a part of you that's back home, that's a Clementina from Guadalajara, and there's a Clementina from Falls Church, Virginia, Alexandria. Do you feel as if there's a dual identity, that you have two different sides of you, and how do you navigate that to bring it all into one person?
I think I embrace the two cultures
Hmm.
and I make one that it makes me like feel like I'm American and I'm Mexican all together, and I feel very good in my skin now.
You're definitely a loving person that loves different cultures, not just American and Mexican. So that definitely makes sense. Could you share a time where you experienced discrimination or prejudice in the United States?
Yes, it was a very like eh, incident, like not incident, but something like not nice that happens to me when I was in my 20s, and a white man told me that as a cashier, that job belongs to American people. Why I was working there? And I felt really like bad. I say, why he says that? Because I'm doing my job and it's just a cashier
Yeah,
position. Why he can be so upset?
definitely uncalled for. I'm sorry that happened to you. Um, that was when you that was a while ago. You've seen Falls Church, where we're from. You've seen the changes since you've been there for so long. Do you feel as if that area specifically has gotten less discriminatory over time?
Yes, I think so. Because back then it was like very few people who speak Spanish, and now I see like there's I think that wherever you go, any store or any
There's
place,
pupuserias and yeah.
in tacos,
Hmm.
in everything. Yeah, it was. very different now from back then.
Yeah, definitely. Even in my lifetime, I've seen that change. So you have been in the US and in Mexico for many, many years, many decades. What do you call home? Is home back in Guadalajara? Is it in Alexandria? Where is home to you?
Home to me is now in Alexandria
Is
because
there a specific reason?
I live here so for such a long time that I feel like I have my routine, my friends, my job, everything, and I feel like I belong to the culture and I know many people and I'm a loving person and I think it's very easy for me to make friends.
Definitely. That's great to hear that you feel at home and you feel safe and you feel accepted and as if you belong. That's just fantastic to hear. To wrap up the interview, last question. There seems to be an overall negative view on immigrants that move to the United States. How do you think, or do you think there's a solution to sort of putting information out there for people to make the life of the people coming to the United States more inclusive?
I think like having like just in general like more information and start like in education with the little children like to make them understand like everybody is welcome
Mhm.
and all cultures are different
Yep,
and then to have like the culture of acceptance like
definitely.
we are all different
Starts with the kids.
races and colors.
Yep. But there's only one human race.
Exactly.
Yep. Ok, pues gracias por venir, gracias por tu tiempo. Em, Voy a regresar en 2 semanas y te voy a ver y voy a darte un abrazote.
Gracias. Estoy muy contenta de que tú también estés aprendiendo español y que te has integrado tanto a la cultura latina.
Sí, y I gained a lot of wisdom through these interviews. They provided a lot of information. But for both women, what they talked about as far as social services is they talked a lot about schools and how the social services were provided through the schools that their children were going to. Now that begs the question, are schools asked too much of? Schools, you already ask schools to take your kids for the majority of the day. Are they responsible for the parents after classes? There's just a very overwhelming amount of responsibility placed on schools and public schools, and not to mention the pay for those positions is lackluster, for lack of a better term. Um, Schools, maybe as Miss Rafa said, the state can implement ways for people to come over and have transition programs from the state and not necessarily from the schools. But yeah, that was my introduction. This conclusion isn't scripted. I want it to come from the heart. It was definitely very insightful, and I think it's a conversation that we need to have a lot more of because it really just opens, having conversations like these opens doors for more empathy, more connection, and overall just better companionship. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I know it was a long one and I appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, life, and spread positivity.